Hey, football fans, welcome back to another episode of Lions Latest, the show where we gather around and talk about the greatest team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. I'm your host, Bryan Hanes, and we have some camp updates and some predictions to go over, so let's jump straight into this video. Starting off, we're talking about the training camp with the Houston Texans. So I actually had the privilege of going to this one as well as the Dolphins one the week prior, and this one was definitely cool to watch as well. If you were there, you would know, but if you weren't there, I'm going to tell you all about it right now. Starting off, we'll talk about the quarterbacks. I have some notes here that I took. So Hendon Hooker is apparently supposed to stay on the roster this year as a QB3, according to local talk shows and podcasts. They have him staying just as kind of a safety option until next year, because apparently Kyle Allen is Detroit's guy right now. He was actually doing all right too. Hendon Hooker wasn't totally, like out of it today. He was a little all over the place, but most of his passes just seemed to get to the target slower, like not good balls, not good spirals. Besides that, he went out for 7-on-7 drills. He was hitting his targets well for touchdowns, just not getting the ball off super quick. But he was finding his guys in the back of the end zone. He was throwing some good passes when it came down to the red zone stuff. He was all right. Let's talk about Kyle Allen, though. What made Kyle Allen the guy, I guess, in Detroit's eyes? So he looked really good today, and I think he's been looking good in the past few preseason games. Might not need that other guy after all. Throwing perfect corner out passes before the receiver even turns his head. Good spirals. He protected the ball super well during pressures, not forcing anything. Looked calm in the pocket and made some really good looks and throws on multiple occasions with that second team offense, taking advantage of Tim Patrick, taking advantage of Isaac Tesla, really just finding his playmakers out there, and he was doing a really good job at protecting the ball overall. He was awesome. Let's talk about Goff, our guy, though. Goff was throwing perfect spirals. He was awesome. His play action drop back looked convincing. He wasn't as perfectly accurate as he was during the Dolphins training camp, but it's going to happen. You're not always going to just be perfect. His pre-snap presence was so solid, good at keeping plays moving, put playmakers in motions pre-play. He did a really good job of confusing the Houston Texans defense here. And then once he found his guys and found his looks, he was just dropping the cookie in the jar every single time. Really good showing from Goff. He had a few ducks. It's going to happen. You're not going to be absolutely perfect, but he looked super, super good. And that just gets me more fired up for the season coming up overall. And then let's talk about receivers. Tim Patrick could be replaced sooner than we expected, despite him returning to camp and practicing today from that injury. He ran some solid routes, had a couple of good catches on the second team offense. I just think the upside with Tesla here is just going to be better. And apparently the same podcast you think that Hooker is going to stay also think that Patrick's going to be gone sooner than we think, which, I don't hate it, but I also think Tim Patrick's such a solid third guy for us right now. We just keep him around and let Tesla develop a little bit, and then by the end of the season, he'll be ready to take over. Khalif Raymond, speaking of guys fighting for a roster spot, Khalif Raymond is a fighter. He had some really tough hands and some disgusting routes during this practice. He made the defender do the splits on a 3rd and long play and then skipped his way into the end zone for 6. He is a fun guy to watch, and the different assignments they like to put him on, especially the wide receiver screens, the end around routes, the motions. Khalif Raymond is a cool little tool to see get used on this offense, and I hope they keep him around for gadget stuff and for punt return stuff, even though he is getting up in age and down in speed. Gibbs on the Texas route is filthy. He's not a receiver, but he was running some filthy routes. He looks so good in the receiving role. The motions make play reading that much more difficult for the defense. If the linebacker doesn't start chasing Gibbs the moment he starts running to the outside, you might as well just say goodbye to him. You're not catching him. His ability to get to the outside line and take off is such a good ability to have on a team, and having a guy like him who could just do it at any point, as if you're not paying attention or you catch that defense off guard, is just such a good weapon to have. Gibbs had a great showing despite the Houston's Texans defense doing really good at stopping the inside run. J-Mo, he was dropping some touchdown passes early on. That was a little concerning, especially because most of them were wide open. However, he made a couple tough catches in contact over the middle to respond to that, just getting straight back up and looking the defender in the eyes. He doesn't let one play ruin his mojo, which I really like about a player like J-Mo, who's got so much personality. He just moves on to the next play. Once he got a couple of those quick passes, though, and he makes a 25-yard catch over the middle with blazing speed, he just gets going. Once he gets going too, he looks so dangerous on the offense. Once you're that close up, you don't really understand on the TV. I swear, you watch him go in real life, he's a monster. He catches a long one in the corner of the end zone. Crowd goes wild. Another just beautifully placed pass by Goff. He's in double coverage, manages to just beat the safety by just a little bit, gets his feet in bounds in the corner. It was a pretty cool moment. Jamison Williams is going to be super fun to watch this year. In the passing game, just because of that, it has so many pieces involved, it's hard to know what is going on and who is going to be getting the looks. I think that's going to be the big part of our offense this time. I'm sure it's hard for the defense. St. Brown in a lot of motions kept the eyes off guys like JMO, who can slip by and create one-on-one scenarios. And by that point, you're worried he's just going to come down with it and get a huge chunk gain. That was really cool to watch with this offense. The amount of motions, the amount of just moving stuff around, having multiple guys open for passes. With a guy like Jared Goff who can make anything happen inside that pocket, defenses have got to be worried about getting to him sooner than later, because if you don't, there's going to be someone open down the field. And Tesla is getting almost every target on that second team offense. He can run a fast crossing route or jump up and just grab a pass out of the end zone. He's going to be such a tool on this team, such a gadget player. I'm really excited to see what he can do. But he wasn't as prevalent in this practice as he was in the past ones. Still super awesome. And you can tell from this offense just by watching that every skill position player is getting used to the best of their strengths. Tesla was going after high balls. Raymond is being in a lot of motion screens, a lot of where he can use his speed, his shiftiness, his size. St. Brown is in a lot of motions where he can make hard cuts out and just be unguardable, basically. And Morton knows what he's doing with these guys. You can absolutely see he's got an idea of what he wants to do with this offense. It's really cool to see. Jack Fox is a beast. I just wrote that down. He was just booming off 70-yard punts because he can. And despite being technically number 2 on the depth chart, David Montgomery is still being used for a number of second down calls and draw plays. His strength is one of his biggest playmaking abilities, and it looks like they will continue to use him in this season, just like they have been. In the red zone, he looks virtually unstoppable, a wrecking ball up the middle, but his ability to bounce outside and shrug those one-on-one tackles off just makes him so dangerous once we get back inside the 10, inside the 20. Jackson Meeks also looked great, a solid and reliable target for Hendon Hooker. Great hands, great vision. That was really cool to see him do. Turned a 25-yard reception into a touchdown run just by using his blockers and finding that outside lane to get to the end zone. Really great stuff, really smart ball from Jackson Meeks. I hope that he continues to develop on this team or go somewhere where they can really make the most out of him, because he's been really fun to watch. And then finally, I didn't want to do a segment on this, but one of the last plays on offense, Graham Glasgow did go down. Was holding his leg pretty bad. They had to take him off and stretch him. He did get up on his own power, but needed some help walking to the sideline. He is currently being evaluated for a lower leg injury, which is terrible because he's our center and he's like the least. He's the guy we could afford the least on this team getting hurt. So I'm really hoping he gets better soon. But we don't have any information right now, so I'm not even going to jinx it. Just get better soon, Graham Glasgow. This team needs you. With that being said, let's move to the defense. I did see more of the offense than the defense in this practice, but there were some really key things going on with the defense here. Turnovers being one of them. Defense showed strong ball hawking skills. They forced multiple turnovers, including an interception from Kirby Joseph, another from Amik Robertson, which was just awesome to watch. Just got some studs out there. However, the Houston Texans offense also had moments of success, particularly in the red zone, while the defense on their team generated 2 strip sacks and performed well against Detroit's interior run game. They both showed high competitiveness, though, with standout performances on both sides. Just good to know it was a competitive practice. Hutchinson recorded a sack. DJ Reader's pressure alongside Hutch has just been crazy to watch. Linebacker Alex Anzalone had a great day in coverage like he kind of did all last season. Run defense was good from him too, which we love to have a guy who can do both things there. You don't need to rely on separate linebackers. Having a guy like Alex Anzalone who's here and finally kind of got his little bit of money and he's ready to perform. Really good to see what he's doing. And then rookie defensive lineman Tyleek Williams has been impressing everyone, especially me, with his disruptive play on the interior line. He's been crazy for stopping runs. He's been crazy for just making that pocket collapse sooner than it really should be. He was an absolutely great pick in this draft, and I'm really excited to see what he does into the regular season. With that being said, that was the Lions training camp, the joint practice with the Texans. I obviously got to see a lot more of the Lions, and I got to see a lot more of our defense, but it was cool to see what we were doing on all sides of the ball. We were playing really competitive, and you could tell that this was definitely a good practice and some good time used here. With that being said, let's move to our third topic today, where we are talking about the preview for this game based on what we just talked about. This upcoming preseason game against the Texans is the last one for the Lions. until the regular season. And the Lions are the favorites to win this upcoming game against the Texans with a confidence level of around 75.5% from local betting apps, not local, just betting apps. The Lions are expected to win by at least a field goal, though the exact point spread is a low -1.5, indicating a potentially competitive game, which I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping it's a great game and our guys get some great looks. The Lions have been playing better football than the Texans leading into this game, admittedly, and a specific model shows that a +5 advantage for Detroit in this matchup will be happening. So Lions have nothing to lose, or the Lions do have something to lose. Texans don't have anything to lose going into this. The Lions are favored to win, and I think with our guys, and especially Kyle Allen, the way he's been performing with our receivers in that second team offense, I think we should have no worries going into this game and just taking it away. The final preseason game is so important for both teams to solidify their 53-man rosters as well. So some of these positions are going to be contested. Despite the predictions, though, joint practice observations suggest that the teams are both fairly matched besides, those little statistics. So there should be strong performances from both sides, and it should be a good preseason game if you consider preseason football good at all. Just saying. I think it's still cool to watch. It gets me fired up for the regular season. You get to see some of these guys you've been waiting to hear about, especially Isaac Tesla. You've been getting these little flashes from him, and I think we're just going to continue to see it in this game as well. Hopefully no one gets injured. Hopefully it's just a good game. Hopefully everyone plays hard. But I do think that Lions are going to walk away with this one. I don't know a whole lot about the Texans' second team defense or anything like that, but from what I saw in this practice, which was a very competitive practice, it just looks like the Lions are going to have a little more gear turning ability here, that the gears are going to click a lot faster, hopefully, and hopefully we just get points on the board sooner and we're able to just hold them off for the most part. I think Hendon Hooker really does have something to prove in this game, despite what people are thinking about him staying anyways. I think he's going to have to go out there and ball out and not lose a lead and not throw interceptions on your game-winning drive, but we're just going to see what he's going to do, and hopefully he can get it done. I think this is going to be a really good game from Kyle Allen, and I think we're going to see our defense shine a little bit here. But that's what I think about that. We're going to move to our final topic of today, where we are talking about some viewer comments. So you guys had some good ones for me this time. You guys have been leaving so many comments. It is so awesome. I really appreciate everything you guys send to me, negative or positive. It is really good just to know that you guys care about this content and that you're putting stuff in there for me to read. I really do appreciate it, and I read every single comment. Starting off, we have Brent DeWitt. He said, Ben Dover Johnson said yesterday, which, first of all, great name, on 670 The Score, that MCDC held him back. Also said that St. Brown wasn't so great and his players were going to run his plays better than the Lions players. Also threw shade at AG's defense during the playoff game. Dude sure is talking a lot of smack. Yeah, I think that's pretty crazy. I did see a little more about that after the last video I put out, looked at more specifics, and I think it's just kind of weird. I think it's just kind of weird. I think obviously he's trying to set up like the competitive nature going into the season. He's trying to, make some news, but I think it's weird to say stuff like that, especially saying, yeah, the head coach held you back. Like, dude, you had crazy plays all season. Dan Campbell gave you all this creative freedom, and just because you didn't win a Super Bowl, it's like you're going to say this. I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, I could sit here and hate on him because he's the Bears coach now, and we don't like the Bears here. So I'll go with you on this one, Brent DeWitt. I think Ben Dover Johnson probably shouldn't have said some of those things, and I guess we're just going to have to see what happens in the regular season. If he says his playbook's going to work better with the Chicago Bears offense, then all the power to him. It really only matters when the final score of the game pops up, but we'll just have to see. Thank you for your comment, Brent DeWitt. Al Johnson said, yes, Lions need to sign him in regard to Zadarius Smith. They have cash easily for 1 year, maybe even 2, and we need to consider the depth or lack of it. Yeah, that's what I was really thinking here. I think with kind of the position he's in now, he wants to be somewhere, and he's expressed that he wants to be in Detroit. We could probably get away with a very comfortable, cap-comfortable and flexible deal here. And I think, what you said about the depth, like that is the big thing to worry about here. If we do want to go all in for a Super Bowl run this year, having depth is going to be what it takes, because that is ultimately what stopped us last year. And I think Zadarius Smith is now just the perfect fit with the position we've been put in with other guys signing places. I totally agree with you on this one, Al Johnson. Thank you so much for your comment. I appreciate it. And finally, Joel Garza says, I think in free agency, the Lions should have made a bold move signing, getting a Pro Bowl edge rusher and a Pro Bowl safety. Now, I agree with you on part of this. I don't necessarily think we need a Pro Bowl safety. I think we just need some depth. We need some solid dudes to back up our 2 studs, because we already have 2 studs at the safety position. It's not like we need to spend all this money getting someone else just for him to sit behind one of the 2 guys. I think honestly they have the longevity and they have the ability to play through games at that position. It's not one of those positions where every single play you're getting hit or something like that. Um, and I think we already have the guys for it. I think honestly, Avante Maddox was a great pickup. Maybe we could have grabbed some more depth in the safety position, but I don't necessarily think that was our biggest thing to worry about. In terms of edge rusher, yeah, I do agree with you on this one. The only problem is that guys like Trey Hendrickson, who are now available for trade, are just going to cost too much. And in the long run, if we're trying to be good later down the line, instead of just having these years where we're super great, we're super great, right? We want to continue being good. We don't want to just fall apart. And I know some of you guys are saying, well, the whole point's to win a Super Bowl. I get that. But if you win one Super Bowl and then you fall off for the next 10 years, aren't we just going to be called the same old Lions again? Personally, I don't want that to happen. I'd rather we have that longevity and win Super Bowls. So signing a Pro Bowl edge rusher would be fantastic, and I think we, with the right guy, we could have done it. But at this point, it seems like Zadarius Smith is our best pick. Not to say he's not bad at all, but like going for those big splash moves like Trey Hendrickson probably just wouldn't have been realistic for us. But I totally see where your heart's at. I was the same way when I first saw the opportunity, so I'm not knocking you on that one. Totally makes sense. Thank you so much for your comment, Joel Garza. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone else. I will get to every comment, or most of them at least, throughout the next few videos. And as long as you guys keep pouring in new ones, we'll keep doing this segment. So that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Lions Latest. If you made it to this point of the video, tell me what your predictions are for this preseason game, and who do you think is going to be cut? Who do you think we're going to keep around afterwards to fit that roster? Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell so you never miss a video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you